This is Akashvani Kohima. Now we bring you a special discussion on the topic Watershed Year for Indian Sports, focusing on the state of Nagaland. The participants are Mr. Kethosituo Sekhose, Director for Youth Resources and Sports, Government of Nagaland, and Ms. Medolenuo Ambrocia.
Hello, listeners. I'm Medolenuo Ambrocia. You are tuned to Akashvani Kohima. And as we stand at the threshold of a new year, we take a moment to reflect on a year that has been truly remarkable for Indian sports. The year 2025 has been described as a watershed year, a year when policies, infrastructure, and the dedication of athletes came together to redefine India's sporting journey. From historic international victories to far-reaching policies, sports in India have taken a decisive step forward. But what does this transformation mean for a young and vibrant state like Nagaland? How can these national developments translate into opportunities for our youth, our villages, and our aspiring sportspersons? To discuss this, we are joined by Mr. Kethosituo Sekhose, the Director of Youth Resources and Sports, Government of Nagaland, who will help us understand how the events of 2025 have shaped the present and what they hold for the future of sports in Nagaland. Stay with us as we look back at 2025, not just as a year of medals, but as a year of hope, opportunity, and new beginnings for sports in Nagaland. Thank you, sir, for joining us to discuss this important topic on sports, particularly with focus on Nagaland. It's really good having you here at the studio, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to begin by asking you, 2025, has been described nationally as a watershed year for Indian sports. So from a Nagaland perspective, how would you describe this year for us?
Well, thank you. Under the dynamic and able leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Dr. Nipurio, who is also the Minister in charge of the Youth Resource and Sports Department, and a sports person himself, the year 2025 has been a watershed year not only for the country, but also for our state, Nagaland, in terms of sports. We have had our own first professional football league called the Nagaland Super League, where the prize pool was larger than the total budget layout by many other states for their state's football leagues. Then we had our athletes in Sepak Takraw and Pencak Silat who performed so well in the first Khelo India Beach Games that the state came in the second runners-up in the overall championship. Just because we were short of a few silver medals, we were not able to beat the champion state. Some of our athletes got even out of turn promotion and others got jobs because of their stellar performances while representing the country. The state also hosted the 69 National School Games and where our athletes won gold, silver and bronze in Taekwondo. There were altogether 34 states and union territories who participated in this National School Game at Chumukedima in our state. The state also hosted the first re-christened National Junior Girls Football Championship, that is the Dr. T. Au National Junior Girls Football Championship, where about 13 teams participated. In 2025, we also recorded the highest ever turnout in any sporting event in the state during the finals of the Dr. T. Au Inter-District Football Tournament, where a stadium, that is the IG Stadium, which has a capacity of just 13,000, had to accommodate over 30,000 crowd. So many sporting infrastructure have been operationalized during the year 2025, making it possible for many of our sporting youths to pursue their dreams through the initiative of the Honorable Chief Minister Dr. Nipurio and the state government. A number of new projects have also been initiated during the year, and one of which is the massive indoor multidisciplinary sporting complex at Kohima, the foundation stone for which was laid down by none other than the Honorable Union Minister for Donor, Sri Jyotiraditya Scindia, on 5th of December.
Wow, what a year it has been for sports in Nagaland, not just at the state level, but right at the schools, the villages that you've talked about. What an impressive year for sports in our state. On that note, if we look from the national perspective, what were the most significant developments in Indian sports in 2025 that directly or in a way indirectly impacted Nagaland?
There were many developments in Indian sports that have impacted our state. And one of the most prominent being the passing of the Khelo Bharat Niti. In other words, the National Sports Policy 2025. This is a comprehensive sports policy that has replaced the 2001 policy and fosters social inclusion. It boosts sports economy, mass participation in sports, and scouting and development of talents, even up to the level of elite athletes. This has not only brought in more funds and resources to the state, but has also encouraged the state to take, in its own way, development of sports infrastructure and organize more competitions at all levels.
Impressive. Now, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about a positive shift in parental mindset towards sports. Do you see this change happening in Nagaland as well?
Our Prime Minister Modiji's vision of a developed India has brought our people to recognize that sports can and will play a major role in the achievement of our vision of a Viksit Bharat at 2047, which is going to benefit every section of the society. There was a time when sports was seen as a play and forget thing or an activity that was a passing one in the course of the growth of a child and not a necessity. However, this has changed for the better. Our state government, under the able leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, is bringing about a change in how our people view sports by encouraging sports entrepreneurship, professionalism, grassroots engagement, and so on and so forth. It is no more just a hobby, but sports has become an opportunity for achieving the much needed economic independence which has eluded us for so long. Parents, I believe, are slowly realizing the need to allow children to develop their God-given talent, be it in sports, academics, arts and music, entrepreneurship, etc. The rise in number of paid sports coaching clubs or institutes in the state and the growth of pay-to-play facilities are a proof in themselves that there's a paradigm shift taking place in the minds of parents vis-a-vis sports. The Khelo Bharat Niti has also ensured that it complements the National Education Policy of 2020 by envisioning the seamless integration of sports with education at all levels.
With what you have said, sir, I think it is safe to say that Nagaland is now building a safe and healthy sporting ecosystem. So the national sports policy that you have earlier mentioned, it has replaced a 2-decade-old framework. So how relevant is this new policy for Nagaland?
As stated earlier, the National Sports Policy 2025 has come at a time when our country needed a shift in our approach towards sports. This new policy is an all-inclusive policy where social inclusion is one of its main features. This policy envisages for India to be a sports powerhouse not only in the region but the world over, and in producing world-class athletes and champions, in hosting of international competitions, making India a desired sports tourism destination, by ensuring that there is mass participation in sports as a healthy citizen is a necessity for any developed country. All this put together, our state stands to gain in more ways than one. We, particularly the Northeast, is considered to be the powerhouse of sports in the country, as our contribution to Indian sports vis-a-vis our population is way above any other state in the country.
So in practical terms, how can the national sports policy improve transparency and athletes' welfare in sports bodies operating in Nagaland or in the Northeast?
Any sports body, as you know, requires to be democratic and free from political or personal interests. And I believe the Khelo Bharat Niti has made provisions for this to happen. And the National Sports Governance Act of 2025 is a result of this. This act ensures athletes' welfare. It ensures good governance in sports bodies. It promotes ethical practices in sports. And it also ensures that the sports bodies align with the Olympic Charter and integrate sports with education. In the country, we have had so many sporting disciplines not performing well in the past. Amongst many reasons, one of the most glaring reasons were disputes in sport governing bodies, that is the national sports federations. And these have adversely affected state sports associations too. With the new act in place, which has established a unified grievance system, perhaps many of these will be resolved. In order to ensure transparency, the act has specified mandatory governance system, transparent elections, and even independent oversights. The Act has also made sports governance athlete-centric by ensuring merit-based administration instead of appointment through political or bureaucratic appointments. Talent identification and development and financial support to athletes will now be through a structured approach, clearing the clouds that existed earlier in carrying out such exercises. It is also promoting transparent national call-ups and professional contracts. These are just a few of the many benefits of the National Sports Policy 2025, and this will be applicable to athletes even from our state.
The policy sounds promising. As the director and the chief of the state's Youth Resources and Sports Department, how is your department playing in aligning local programs with the national reforms that we're talking about?
First of all, the Youth Resources and Sports Department is the nodal department for implementation of any sports program in the state, be it centrally funded or state funded. We are interested with also drafting the state's sports policy, which will be in line with the national policy. And we are currently in the process of drafting the state sports policy. Once this is passed, the same will also be implemented through the department.
So as announced by the Chief Minister of Nagaland, Dr. Nipurio, during the Statehood Day address this year, the state government has sanctioned 31 multidisciplinary indoor stadiums and 28 futsal grounds across various districts, and it was also decided to earmark rupees 3 lakh for an assembly constituency from the LADP 2025 to 26 onwards as the district sports fund. How will these initiatives translate into concrete benefits for young people in Nagaland, particularly in terms of talent identification, training opportunities, and long-term sports careers? These are big numbers, I tell you, sir.
True. Our Chief Minister, Dr. Nipurio, has always been proactive, as you know, in his approach, and the government under him has always been proactive towards the development of the sporting ecosystem in the state. In particular, the development of these 31 multidisciplinary indoor stadiums will give better facilities which are state-of-the-art for our young people to pursue their dreams in sports and for others to engage themselves positively during their free time. Our CM, while inaugurating one of the indoor stadiums, had stated that these indoor stadiums are a necessity for our state, where over 60% of the time our youths are not able to engage in sports due to weather conditions. Now we can be engaged in sporting activities 100% of the time. The provision of fund from LADP to district sports fund is a very novel idea, as districts always finds it very difficult to conduct tournaments or even organize and sponsor district teams at their levels due to fund constraints. This, I believe, will go a long way in alleviating their problems. One problem which our athlete faces as far as talent identification and training opportunities are concerned is the lack of sufficient tournaments or lack of sufficient exposure which an athlete requires. Perhaps now they will get that exposure because funds are being pumped into the districts, which in turn will benefit talent scouting and provide career opportunities even in the sports industry.
And can you help us understand how effective has the Khelo India program been in identifying and nurturing talent in Nagaland so far?
Well, to answer that, I would like to state a few facts and figures. In our state, we have 32 Khelo India centers, which will shortly become 34 with the sanctioning of 2 Khelo India centers for Maluri. These have been in existence in the state for just over 3 to 4 years, but have produced players who today represent not only their districts, but also the states, and some even representing the country. These KICs have also created job opportunities for past champions who otherwise, when they cross their prime age, were left with no job to do. Then we have the Khelo India State Center of Excellence, which has regularly produced state players and given us the means to acquire much needed sporting equipment. The Khelo India infrastructure scheme has also allowed our state to construct state-of-the-art multidisciplinary stadiums, football grounds and playfields. Then under the Khelo India Games program, we got the opportunity to host the first of its kind for our state, that is the Khelo India University Games last year, and also the opportunity to expose our athletes in various Khelo India games such as the Khelo India Beach Games, the Youth Games, the Khelo India Astar Lakshmi Games, and even the Khelo India School Games. The Khelo India program has been a boon for the state as far as our state is concerned. And remember that funding under Khelo India programs are 100%, which is very good for a resource-crunch state like ours. All these have gone a long way in helping the state identify and nurture talents.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I also believe there are challenges. So can you help us understand what challenges do you face in implementing grassroots programs in remote and border districts?
There are many challenges that we face while implementing grassroots sports program in remote and particularly in the border districts. Some of which I would just like to highlight, and I would also like to highlight how we are trying to overcome such challenges. The first challenge that we face is infrastructure. However, with the pace at which the state government is pursuing the development of sporting infrastructure in the state, I feel a day will come when this may become a non-issue. But as of now, it is an issue. The second issue is certainly budgetary constraint. But the government of the day under our Honorable Chief Minister has gone all out to reduce this. For example, our department's budget for conducting sports program, that is tournament, has been increased significantly in the last 1 year itself. We have got about 10 times of what our budget was the year before. And I think that is not experienced by any other department.
Wow.
And this is visible from the number of programs that we are organizing today. Our department, this year alone, we have organized 34 sporting programs across the state. Some are national, some are inter-district, and some are regional. Recently, we have also organized a volleyball tournament at one of the most far-flung areas bordering Myanmar, from the 15th of December to the 17th of December. This is at Mimi village, which is on the Burmese border. And this has been our mission in the last couple of years. There is also the issue of availability of sufficient and qualified referees and judges in these areas. But the department is taking up with the Nagaland Olympic Association and the specific state sports association for overcoming this issue by organizing camps for referees and judges, for coaches, and so on.
It is impressive to know that the department is reaching the last mile to promote sports in the state. If you can help us understand, how can schools, village councils and community organizations strengthen the sports ecosystem in Nagaland?
Well, my answer to that would like to be very short. Just 3 words: educate, encourage, and empower.
That's 3 words and 3 E's there.
3 E's.
So in your view, how important are inter-village and district tournaments for long-term talent development?
It is at the grassroots that talent is available, be it in any discipline. And these inter-village or district level tournaments brings out these hidden talents to the fore. In fact, for intake into our state sports academies at Dimapur or even at Kohima, we regularly send our coaches to these tournaments, even in the far-flung areas like Noklak, Tonok, Kipiri, Shamator, and all those places.
And we are now talking about sports in 2025. So if we look back at the year, this year was also marked by major achievements by the Indian women in sports. So how inspiring is this for young women in Nagaland, and where do we stand?
Well, our women are no less than the men. As stated earlier, many of the laurels won by the state athletes were women or girls. The achievement of the country's women athletes, be it in cricket, athletics, football, shooting, etc., is really an encouragement for every one of us. Mm-hmm. Today, our women athletes are doing very well in some of the games like Sipak Takraw, where for the past many years, they have always featured in the Indian team. Recently in Pencak our women have been winning medals regularly and even represented the country at the ASEAN level and won medal. We are growing rapidly in cricket, football, archery, taekwondo, and even in shooting sports. That is where our women stands today.
Interesting to know where we stand, and also curious to know what steps are needed to encourage greater participation of women in competitive sports in the state.
One of the first things that we have to do is perhaps organize more tournaments, championships for women, and which our state government is also trying to do. The Nagaland Olympic Association is also trying to do, and even the state sports associations. Well, other than that, I also feel that a safe and rewarding environment should be there for women to take part in sports. We have also to ensure that the facilities and amenities that are necessary for any woman player should be available in the play area. Then we also should employ women role models to encourage our own women to participate in sports. And most importantly, I feel the community as well as the family support should be there for encouraging women to participate in sports.
Like those are very important and crucial suggestions that you have made right there. Looking ahead to India's ambition of hosting the 2036 Olympics, how can our state contribute to this national vision?
Well, along with many in the state, we are all looking forward eagerly to India hosting the 2036 Olympics. As far as the state is concerned, the government is actively in the process of identifying a few priority sporting disciplines, and we have already drafted a roadmap for ourselves, which will be shared with the Ministry of Donor and Youth Affairs and Sports once it is ready. A detailed project report is also under preparation for each of the identified disciplines. We believe that through these initiatives, we will be able to contribute to the medal tally of the country in 2036 and even before. Remember, there is the Commonwealth Games that is coming up in 2030 in India. So we are all preparing ourselves to meet those.
Best wishes.
Thank you.
Also, as we close 2025, what gives you the most hope about the future of sports in our state?
First is the blessing of our Almighty God. Next is the commitment and dedication of our state government under our able Chief Minister. Then the professionalism and enthusiasm of our state sporting associations led by the Nagaland Olympic Association. The indomitable spirit of our people also gives me a lot of hope, especially the young and the upcoming athletes. Then the guidance of the veteran athletes. I think Nagaland has got one of the best organizations of veteran athletes. We have in football, we have in badminton, we have, I think, even in athletics and many other more.
Okay.
Then the undeniable support that we will receive from the central government because of the passing of the new sports policy. And these are the things that gives us hope that we will be looking towards the future of sports in our state.
And on that note, what message would you like to give to young athletes and parents in Nagaland as we prepare to enter 2026?
So many messages are there which I would really love to share with all of them. But as we enter 2026, which is a new year for all of us, I would like to appeal to all young athletes that opportunities are everywhere. We just need to be more dedicated, make the right choices, and believe that we can do it. Well, I would also like to wish all the listeners a very happy and prosperous new year.
Thank you so much for having this discussion. And that brings us to the end of the discussion. And throughout the discussion, one thing has become clear. It is that the story of sports in 2025 is not only about victories on international podiums, but about the quiet transformation taking place in villages, schools, and communities across India and also here in Nagaland. As we prepare to welcome 2026, the message is simple yet powerful that sports is no longer just recreation. It is a pathway to discipline, unity, health, and national pride. On behalf of Akashvani Kohima, I thank our esteemed guest, Mr. Kethosituo Sekhose, the Director of Youth Resources and Sports, Government of Nagaland, for sharing his valuable insights. And I thank you, our listeners, for joining us in this year-end reflection. Here's wishing all our young sportspersons in Nagaland renewed energy, greater opportunities, and continued determination in the year ahead. This is Medolenuo Ambrocia signing off. Have a very happy and sporting new year.
You were listening to a discussion on Watershed Year for Indian sports, focusing on the state of Nagaland. The participants were Mr. Kethosituo Sekhose, Director for Youth Resources and Sports, Government of Nagaland, and Ms. Medolenuo Ambrocia.